So welcome everybody to my first Scar review of 2016. So today, scripture I'll actually be reading part of chapter 1 of Genesis. That's what I'm going to be reading for today. And I'm kind of go over some stuff with that. So this will be chapter 1 of Genesis. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was moving over the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God, God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there were evening, and there was morning, one day. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament and separated the waters which were under the firmament from the waters were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. There was evening, then there was morning, a second day. God said, "Let the waters under the heavens be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. God called the dry land earth, and the waters that were gathered together he called seas. And God saw that it was good. And God said, "Let the earth put forth vegetation, plants yielding seed and fruit, trees bearing fruit in which is their seed, each according to its kind, upon the earth." And it was so. The earth brought forth vegetation, plants yielding seed according to their own kind, and trees bearing fruit in which it was their seed, each according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, a third day. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmaments of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons, for days and years. And let them be lights in the firmament of the heavens to give light upon the earth." And it was so. And God made the two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also, and God set them in the firmament of the heavens to give light upon the earth, to rule over the day and over the night. And separated the light from the darkness, and God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, a fourth day. And God said, "Let the waters bring forth swarming of living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the firmaments of the heavens." So God created the great sea monsters and living creatures that moves, with which the waters swarmed according to their kind, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters and the seas, and let birds multiply on the earth." And there was evening, and there was morning, a fifth day. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth living creatures according to their kind, cattle and creeping things, and beasts of the earth according to their kinds." And it was so. And God made the beasts of the earth according to their kinds, and the cattle according to their kinds, and everything that creeps upon the earth according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth." So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him. Male and female he created them. And God blessed them, and God said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth." And God said, "Behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed, which upon the face of all the earth, and every tree which is seed in its fruit. You shall have them for food. And to every beast of the earth, and to every bird of the air, and to everything that creeps on the earth, everything that has the breath of life, I have given over green plants for food." And it was so. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was good. And there was evening, and then there was morning, a sixth day. Thus, all right, sorry. So I'm going to stop there. So that's chapter 1 of Genesis. So one of the main reasons I'm actually reading this is because I watched a episode, or I watched a YouTube video the other day. Had Jimmy Akin on it, and it was like a YouTube channel produced by, it's called The Dove. They're like, it looked like they're like evangelical type of uh, TV station, kind of like analogous to EWTN, but for evangelical Christians. So that's what's excuse me, that's what it seemed like, and they're discussing like divisions kind of on the creation story. So there are the ultra creation people who say that God actually created the the earth and actually in literally 6 days. So that's, there's ultra creationism, and then there's, ones who, which includes myself, who believes that God um, created everything in the universe. But I adhere to evolution. Now, I'm not saying that God didn't create everything. It's just like He's the one who made all these things happen. I just believe in the natural order to which creatures came about. They evolved into it. And it's not, and I'm not saying that it was chance that it happened or anything, but God designed it that way. That is why I adhere to it. Just because, for one, I am a scientist, but at the same time, I am a practicing Catholic. I believe God created everything in the entire universe, period. But God uses, nature is God's creation, right? And nature has an order. You know, things happen for a reason. And there's one little passage of the Catechism I'm going to read you. And this is actually from the Catechism. It's paragraph 289. It says, among all the scripture texts about creation, the first three chapters of Genesis occupy a unique place. I only read chapter 1. But from a literary standpoint, these texts may have had diverse sources. The inspired authors have placed them at the beginning of Scripture to express in their solemn language the truths of creation, its origins and its ends, its origin and it ends in God, its order and goodness, the vocation of man, and finally the drama of sin, the hope of salvation. Read in the light of Christ within the unity of sacred Scripture and in the living tradition of the Church. These texts remain the principal source for catechesis on the mysteries of the beginning, creation, fall, and promise of salvation. So I didn't get into the other two chapters, but pretty much what this paragraph is saying, that like is what I'm reaffirming. God created everything. Now, being Catholic, I am free to believe that God created the earth literally in 6 days, and on the seventh He rested. I mean, I'm truly free to believe in that, but at the same time, I am truly free to believe in evolution. If it's perfectly right in there with creation, and the main reason I'm actually making this video too, or I'm using this, is they're trying to have some contention between, religion and science, right? That they're at opposite ends with each other. And being a scientist and also being a believer, I'm in a unique position, which, I mean, there's plenty of, Christian or, Muslim or other faith people who are in the sciences, like what I call the hard sciences. So sorry for all the social science people out there in psychology. I classify you guys as soft science, but that's a whole other debate on itself. But being in biology is a more big term for what I do. But being in biology, I believe in science, and to the fact, like, okay, I don't believe in science, but science shows us the way of the ordered natural world. That's its purpose, period. And then the purpose of philosophy, which theology is an offshoot of that, is, to explore things that are not physical. Feelings are not a physical, tangible thing. You can't quantify a feeling. You can't quantify a thought. So a lot of these things, we have to use philosophy for. Science just isn't the be all and end all of everything, which some people try to make science into its own religion. Which it's not. It's a tool that we use to explain the natural world. So you can use science to explain the natural, beautiful world that God gave us. But they shouldn't be at odds with each other. You can't have faith without reason. You know, I believe it was Pope St. John Paul II who say that you cannot have faith without reason. You know, they are intermingled with each other. So that's what I was spurred about that. I will be back here in a minute for today's cigar, all right? All right, but guys, so today I will be smoking, it's the Kristoff San Andreas. It's the robusto size. You can see that? It's a nice little smoke. Has a super dark wrapper on it. I mean, it's like almost oil black. Um, really rough looking, but very nice. I kind of like the rustic looking cigars. You know, I mean, I generally don't care really one way or another, just as long as the smoke's good and it tastes fine. But I really like it. It has a nice little closed foot on it. Well, it's not a fully closed foot, but it's a where these kind of like they have, you know, they have a little shaggy end and it's folded over, and it has a nice little pigtail on it. So, oh, trying to think of that smell. Almost I would say a musky barnyard smell, but very nice. Um, with maybe like a hint of chocolate or something in there, maybe. It smells really, really good. So this thing features actually, so it's called San Andreas because it has a San Andreas wrapper on it. It also has a Ecuadorian Habano binder, and then it has Nicaraguan Habano in the filter. So very nice. So we will go ahead and get it cut up and everything and toasting. So what I'm going to do is, like a lot of times, you can just twist this little pigtail guy off here, but it actually didn't come off the way. I just got a little bit. So I'm gonna cut it. Here. So I got my nice little perfect cutter here, which I'm gonna have to buy a new one because I've had this thing for about a year, but it's not as good as the Cuban Craft ones from I heard. So this is like a Mr. Brog one. It's been working pretty well, but I can tell it's getting pretty dull. So the great thing about this perfect cutter is it has a little back to it. So all I gotta do is just insert it in there, so it don't move anymore, and just give it a snip. So yeah, not too bad. See, it's starting to get dull. It's not cutting all the way nicely. So I'm getting tobacco all over the place. So I'm actually kind of bummed. I got this lighter a while ago, but it's broken. The top's broken now, and it's not really working. It has an electric start on it, but it's not really doing much. I wonder if this will work. Nah, I don't think it'll work. So I'll use a regular lighter. So uh, so I wasn't sure. I was actually going to go to my cigar shop tonight, and I was going to smoke there just to relax because they redid their humidor. But I guess they had changed their hours for winter because on Thursdays and Fridays are normally open till 8. So I was going to go down there and hang out, but I get there around 6. I notice they're closed. So I was kind of bummed out about that. But it's a good thing because I could do my cigar review tonight for you guys. So I definitely say it's about a medium full right now, body wise. Get a bit of a pepper. It's bitter, kind of like maybe like a really strong espresso. So some pepper, pack my palate into my nostrils with some like espresso-y type of flavor. So I will be back here in a little bit with an update for you guys, all right? So, oh, sorry. So we're 10 minutes in. Um, I got maybe a little less than an inch gone. Depends on what side you look at. It's not burning quite even, but that's kind of part of my fault because I had a little bit of an edge that wasn't burning when I first lit it. But so far, it's back down in strength a little bit, but it's very full body, so it's a very thick, chewy smoke. That initial bitter kind of espresso is gone. There's kind of like a creamy, coffee-ish type of taste to it. Still that pepper, which is only a little bit of a zing of like spiciness, but you can have the flavors definitely in there. The smoke is thick, and it's a combination of silky, oily. So if you know the difference between kind of like oil and then silk, because I've had smoke that has either or, but this is kind of a combination of the both. It's kind of slick, but sometimes it's very smooth. Um, but the taste really keeps it in your mouth for a while. I mean, I can still taste the pepper. I mean, it's in there, and the pepper will actually zing up a little bit. 20, 30 seconds after you exhale. So that is it so far. So I will be back here in a little bit uh, at the end of the first third. All right. So we're about half an hour in. I just finished the first third. The ash just fell off a minute ago in one big chunk. It's probably about like that. So I held on. I had to keep it in my ashtray most of the time because actually I have a blanket on me. Because what I do is actually I have a heater underneath the table that my computer's on, and I have a blanket over it to keep me warm for the most part. So that way my legs don't get super cold or anything like that. Works out pretty well because it's Indiana and it's cold. But so far, it's given me a little bit of a dry mouth, even though I am drinking my normal coffee with it. There's still that pepperness to it, but it's not. The spiciness is pretty much gone, but the flavor's still there. I'm getting chocolate. I'm getting a little bit of cocoa. With a smidge of sweetness, like a sweet, like a somewhat sweet cream coffee, I guess. So, but that's it for right now. I will be back when I'm done with the second third. All right. So we are, oh, excuse me, we are 50 minutes in. Um, Getting down to the second third here. Relatively unchanged. I still get that pepper flavor. Still getting some. Now it's more of like a dark chocolate without any sweetness. With something else in there, and I can't quite grasp it. Maybe like a little bit of a leather, a little bit towards the end there. But that's what we got. I'll be back here when I'm going to be wrapping it up. Right. So welcome back, guys. So I'm an hour and 10 minutes in. It's still smoking pretty good. Like that oily leather is kicked right in. That's the main flavor right now. Um, which is kind of tobacco core. One thing that did happen, it popped a little bit. It could just be because it's dry. It's really dry out here because it's cold and dry. So that could be from that. Oh, excuse me. It's still smoking fine, so I'm not going to fault that on the scar. Um, I'm gonna keep on going. I said last time that I was gonna come back when I'm finishing up, but I've just been doing these at 20-minute intervals. Just keep track of my times. I'm generally really bad about that. So um, I'll be back here in a little bit. Probably when I'm going to be finishing up because I think it'll be about done then. All right, see you guys in a bit. So I'm about an hour and a half in here, getting down to it. I'm probably gonna smoke it for a few more minutes, but I'm gonna end the video here. Towards the end, it's mellowed out a bit. It's still fairly flavorful, but it's not as full bodied as it was. Strength is probably about a medium. I'm still getting a little bit of that leather with just like a non-sweet chocolate kind of flavor. It's very good. Zero complaints about it. Construction wise, it's doing fine. I know why it was popping stuff because it's super dry. Um, I keep my humidors about 65, so I keep it on slightly on the drier side because most of the time when I'm out here, with the exception of winter, it's fairly humid. So if I keep my cigars at 70, which is about the norm, um, they tend to not burn very well. But I don't want to like fluctuate my humidor up and down, up and down, up and down. So I might end up throwing some stuff in there to keep the humidity maybe in the slightly higher 60s. Because I use these things called heartfelt beads. They come in different humidities. I have some 70 that I used to use. I might mix a little bit of them with my 65 just to keep that up maybe about 67, 68. That's probably where I'm going to pop it at just to keep that problem from happening. But I mean, but it still smoked fine. I only had that one little um, problem with it. So in the end, good stick. Highly recommend it. It's not the cheapest stick out there. My local store, I got it for $11. Kristoff is kind of I believe they're still a boutique brand. They've only been around for, I'm just trying to think. It hasn't been that long. I think like 2012 or 2011, somewhere around there. So they've only been around for about 5 years, 4 or 5 years. But they're good. Uh, my local store, the owner there, he's a big fan of Kristoff stuff. Um, but I mean, but talking to the manager there, they only kept one of their lines around because that was the only one that really sold, and that was even kind of going downhill. But hopefully, um, they'll be doing a little bit better because they're good sticks. Everything I've smoked so far that I've had of them have been pretty good, except for like their main blend. I can't remember what it's called right now. It might be like the Criollo stuff that they have that I didn't care for very much. But anyway, good stick. Again, this was the Kristoff San Andreas. So very, very good. The robusto size is what I'm smoking here. Thank you for joining me and watching this video. Look at my other videos, like this video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Look for me on Facebook, Twitter, which actually I need to go back and I've uploaded a few videos already. I need to put them on Twitter so people know I'm there. But just check me out. Keep reading scripture, keep praying always, because the whole point of being a Christian is to be a saint, period. you know. But anyway, God bless everybody. Hope everybody has a great night and a great weekend, all right?